Hello everyone, welcome to the next session, the Alabama PLC. So in this session, we are going to discuss about the opening process of the Alabama PLC. So initially, we are going to focus on the opening process of SLC 500, right? So SLC 500 means what? The SLC 500 is nothing but the modular type PLC in which we can able to extend the number of field input output as per our requirement. So here in the previous session, we have already discussed about the list of softwares which we require for the Allen Bradley PLC. So here it is, you can see the first one is the Rslinx. This is nothing but the communication software. The second one, Rslogix 500 English. This is the programming software. And if you don't have the hardware in order to run the program, so simply you can go with this last number software. That is nothing but Rslogix Emulate 500. Means without using the hardware, you can able to run the program only by using this last number software. Right? And if you have the hardware of Allen Bradley PLC, so no need of this last number software. See, let us begin the opening process. Here, initially, double click on Rslinx, maximize the window. Then here we will get the Rslink gateway window, right? Along with that, here you can observe the menu bar. In menu bar, file, edit, view, communication, stations, DD, OPC. So many options are there. The most important part, initially we just need to focus on communication, right? Some other protocols are also given. For example, DD means what? Dynamic data exchange. OPC is also given. At the time of interfacing, I will explain this part in detail, right? So click on the communication. In communication, you will get so many options for the configuration. Initially, just click on configure drivers. So after that, you will get one pop-up, one window, configure drivers. So here you can see the one driver is already configured, right? But if you don't want it, and if you have another communication protocol and which you need to add in this communication software, so for that, what we need to do? So initially, our first task is to remove the configure driver. So how to remove it? Here you will get the multiple options: configure, startup, start, stop, and delete. So first of all, select that configure driver, stop it, because here you can check the status. The status is in running condition. So first of all, stop it. Now you can observe the status. It is stop now. Then click on delete. Okay. Now, in order to configure the new driver, click on here, and here you will get the number of drivers. So the communication protocol which you have, or the communication cable which you have, so as per the requirement, you have to select and you have to configure the driver. We have already discussed about the RS-232 communication cable, right? So we can see it full duplex means we can able to establish the two-way communication. Means either we can download the program and we can upload the programs also, right? Now here the Ethernet oblique IP driver means if you have a Ethernet cable, so simply we just need to select the Ethernet. Okay, but right now we are going to select this one, SLC 500 DH485 emulator driver, right? So DH485 is also the communication cable. DH means what? Data highway. Okay. So in previous session, we have already discussed about the network length and the baud rate which is required for the DH485. So you can go through the previous sessions, right? Click on add new and you'll get the one more pop-up, add new Rslinx driver. So if you want, you can change this driver name, but according to me, no need to change it, right? Simply click on OK, and here also no need to change anything, right? Just click on OK. Now here you can check the configure driver. Okay, the status is in running condition. It means that we have successfully configured the driver. Now after the configuration of the driver, simply close the window and minimize the communication software. Make sure that don't close the window, simply minimize it. Then coming toward the next part, here you can see the Rslogix 500 English. Then double click on Rslogix 500 English. This is nothing but the programming software. Now here, after opening, you will get the Rslogix 500 Pro window and again the menu bar. So as a beginner, so definitely you don't have any design program, right? So initially just click on the file, and in the file you will get the new open backup project. Okay. And here you can observe the name of some projects which I have designed, but initially you don't have, right? So you are not getting these options. So don't click on open and the backup projects, click on new. Once click on new, then you will get the processor type. So in this section, we need to select the processor which we are going to use to design the program. So initially we have to provide the name. The name should be should not be more than 2 or 5 to 6 letter, because the message length is too less here, right? But later on we can change that name. So I will tell you in the upcoming session so how to change that name. So here I'm just providing the name like AB PLC, like this processor name. You can provide any random name, right? Okay, then here you can observe the number of processors are given. So initially we have already discussed in SLC 500 there are 5 different types of processors. The first one, that is nothing but here you can see SLC 5/01, SLC 5/02, 5/03, 04 and 05, right? But along with that you can observe for the SLC 5/03 you can observe 5 to 6 processors are given there. Okay, so what is the difference? Difference in terms of the availability of the memory capacity and the series as well, right? For example, if you are designing the program for the small scale application, for the medium scale application and for the high scale application, so as per the program and the project requirement, we need to select the memory type and the processor type as well. For example, if you are designing the program for the medium scale applications, and in order to run the program, in order to execute the program smoothly, we require the memory of 32K, right? So here initially you can go with any type of processor, right? So don't worry about that. Okay, if you don't have the hardware, randomly you can select any processor, right? But on field you have to think about the hardware specification as well, right? For example, if you have a hardware and in that hardware you are using the processor SLC 5/03 having a 32K memory, so our processor selection that must be SLC 5/03 having 32K memory only. But in the simulation you don't need to worry about the selection of processor, right? Along with that, these are the processor for the SLC 500, and below that you can observe the Micrologix. Micrologix is also the type of Allen Bradley PLC. So what is the Micrologix? In Micrologix, it comes under the compact PLC category, in which we cannot able to extend the number of input output, right? So the opening process of this Micrologix PLC I will tell you in the upcoming session. So right now just focus on the SLC 500. So here I have the SLC 5/03 having a 32K memory processor. Just select it and click on OK, right? Don't change anything in the communication setting and the driver. Just keep it as it is. Click on OK, and then you will get the interface for designing the ladder language or the program. But we cannot able to design the ladder program right now. Why? Because we haven't configured the any input output right now. So on your right side, on your left side, here it is, you can see the help window is there. Below that, controller option is there, controller. Okay, and below controller you can observe the 4 different options: controller properties, processor status, IO configuration, right, and the channel configurations as well. Okay, but if you are not getting these options, so simply click on the positive sign, then accordingly you will get the access of these options. So just click on the controller property initially. In the controller properties you can observe the controller and the processor which we have selected. For example, what happened once you have selected the processor, and later on if you have to change it. So it is possible only using the controller property option. Simply here you can see I have selected this one, and if I want to change the processor type, so simply I can able to change the processor type from the controller properties only, right? So it is very easy, so no need to worry about it. Along with that, you will get some more specification about the SLC 500 PLC. So that is nothing but program files and the data files. I will explain, okay, what is the program file and what is the data file. So just now understand the availability of the program file and the data file. 3 program files are there and the 9 data files are there. Now in the compiler, you will get the options here. You don't need to change anything. The password is also given there. For example, if you want to provide additional security to your design program, so simply you can able to set the password here. Okay, the basic password as well as the master password also. Okay, so later on you can remove it also. So no need to worry. But initially you have to remember the set password. Now the controller communication. In the controller communication, you will get the name of driver which we have configured into the communication software. So here no need to change anything, just click on OK, and coming toward the processor status. So in this section you will get each and every update of your processor, right? If you are getting any error, any fault, so simply you can able to find it out, and you can able to debug it by using the processor status. Okay, so here you can see the debug option is there, the error options are here, right? So all these things are very important as a programmer, because as and when we are going to design the program, and if we are getting any error, so where exactly we can locate it, we can find it out. So that is nothing but the process status. Now the most important part, IO configuration. Just double click on it, and here you will get the racks which we have discussed into the previous session. So total 4 racks are there. 4 slot rack, 7 slot rack, 10 slot, and the 13 slot rack, right? So as per our project requirement and the field output requirement, we need to select the rack. So here initially I'm just going to select the 4 slot rack only. Okay, below that you can observe the second and third option. So what does mean it? So it's mean that, for example, if you have SLC 500 PLCs having a 4 slot rack, so total you have 3 PLCs, right? So in order to communicate these 3 PLCs with each other, what we require the selections of the rack like this here. So here I have the 3 different PLCs which is having the 4 slot rack. It simply means that we can able to communicate PLC with each other. So for that, some communication connectors are also available with the PLCs, right? So right now we don't need of the 2 additional PLCs, right? So initially we are just using, okay, here it's very simple now. Just click on IO rack not installed, then it will disable automatically, right? So initially we just require the 4 slot rack, and here you can observe the rack 0, 1, 2, and 3. It means that we have 4 slots. Among this 4 slot, we have just occupied only 1 slot. That is nothing but the 0 slot, and which is occupied by the CPU or the processor, right? Now coming to the slot number 2. First of all, you should know the slot number 0 is reserved for the CPU card only, and after that in slot number 1, 2, 3, we can insert any card randomly, right? For example, if anyone wants to add the output card here, input card here, so you can add as per the requirement. Getting, for example, the 4 slot rack is not sufficient to fulfill our project requirement or program requirement. So simply you can able to change the rack type. So here right now I am going to select the rack having a 10 slot. So here you will get the 10 different slots, and in which we can able to add number of digital input card, number of digital output card, and analog input output cards as well, right? So as per our requirement. But let us go with the 4 slot rack only. Now on your right side you will get the current card availability, right? So Here you will get so many cards. In order to find out the appropriate one, they have given the filter option. Just click on filter, click on input. So in slot number 1, I am just going to add the digital input card, right? So here you can observe all these are the digital input cards. So if you don't have the hardware, so you can select any random card. But if you have a hardware, so we have to select the correct one which we have inserted into the hardware, right? So here if you have a hardware, so you don't need to select the cards from this available card. Simply you just need to click on the read IO configuration. Again, just click on the read IO configuration. Your digital input output card with the processor will get added automatically here. But if you don't have the hardware, so I'm telling you how to add the digital input output card manually here. So here I have this one 17 IB60 16 input sync 20 volt DC power supply. So this is the digital input one. So how to recognize it? It's very simple. 1746 is nothing but the catalog number of the analog input output card. Always remember, or digital input output card as well, right? So here we are adding the digital input output card. So this is the catalog number for digital input card. And IB16 means what? I means the input card, B means series later, and the 16 itself indicate this card comes with the 16 different inputs, right? Now simply double click on it, then the card will get added here. Now coming toward the output, this is the digital output. Select the second slot, and in the second slot here I have this one 1746. Again, this is the catalog number. O means output, and the 16 output terminals are there. And the trans SRC. So what does mean it? It means that this is the card which is the source type. Okay, this is the card which is the source type. So it's very simple. Now just double click on it. Now this last number slot, if you don't have any requirement, okay, if you don't have any requirement of additional input output, simply you can just skip the last number slot. No need to add anything in it. Okay, now just close this. And now coming to the channel configuration. Okay, so before that, just complete the opening process. This is all about the opening process of the programming software. Now just minimize it. Okay, and if you don't have a hardware, so the one more thing which we need to open, that is nothing but the Rslogix emulate 500. Just double click on it, maximize and minimize it, right? So this is the opening process of SLC 500 PLC, right? And now in the next session, we are just going to discuss about the introduction of this software.